Hi y'all, welcome back to this video, which is an introduction to virtue ethics. In this video, we'll explore the third major approach to normative ethics, virtue ethics. While consequentialism and deontology focus on actions and rules, virtue ethics asks a different question. What kind of person should I be? Here's a little historical context of virtue ethics. Now remember, we're talking about Western philosophical systems right now. So Western virtue ethics first developed in ancient Greece with Aristotle, a student of Plato and teacher of Alexander the Great. At his school, the Lyceum, Aristotle composed the Nicomachean Ethics, which was a systematic study of moral character and the good life. He sought to answer the practical question of how human beings can live well, what he called eudaimonia, or flourishing. Later theories of virtue ethics, such as those developed by the Stoics, Aztecs, and the more modern ethics of care, continued to emphasize virtue as central to the moral life, though they developed their own systems. Virtue ethics has experienced a revival, returning moral philosophy's attention to the cultivation of character rather than focusing on rules or outcomes. Virtue ethics holds that the foundation of morality lies in the development of virtuous character traits rather than in following universal laws or calculating outcomes. For Aristotle, moral life begins with the agent. The person who acts must cultivate habits of excellence that guide feeling, choice, and reason. The virtuous person does the right thing, at the right time, for the right reasons. The golden mean. Aristotle described virtue as a mean between extremes. Every moral virtue occupies a balanced midpoint between two vices, one of excess and one of deficiency. For example, courage stands between rashness and cowardice, generosity between wastefulness and stinginess. This golden mean is not a simple average, but a flexible balance determined by reason and circumstances. The importance of practical wisdom. Virtuous choice requires practical wisdom, or phronesis, the intellectual virtue that allows a person to recognize what the situation demands. Practical wisdom unites moral insight and experience, enabling judgment that's neither impulsive nor mechanical. Through repeated practice under the guidance of reason, virtues become part of one's character, leading to harmony between thought, emotion, and action. Aristotle's framework. Aristotle's ethical theory begins from the idea that everything in nature has a purpose, or telos. The human function is rational activity, and the good life fulfills that function excellently. Virtue, or arete, is therefore the quality that allows a person to perform rational activity well. Because human life involves choice, desire, and emotion, virtue requires aligning these capacities with reason. Moral development. Virtue is acquired through practice. We become virtuous by doing virtuous acts. Education, imitation, and reflection build stable moral habits. Reason and emotion work together in a harmoniously ordered character. Comparison of virtue ethics with other theories. Virtue ethics contrasts with other moral theories. Consequentialism evaluates the rightness of acts by their outcomes, and deontology by their conformity to rules and moral duty. Virtue ethics elevates moral life by the character and integrity of the person acting. The moral question is not what rule applies or what result will follow, but what would a virtuous person do in this situation? Advantages of virtue ethics. Virtue ethics offers an attractive and humanly rich vision of morality. It encourages lifelong moral growth, integrates reason and emotion, and emphasizes community and education. It avoids the rigidity of strict rule systems and the narrowness of consequence calculations, presenting ethics as the art of becoming a good person. Challenges to virtue ethics. Virtue ethics also faces challenges. It can seem vague when offering guidance for specific moral dilemmas. Determining the proper mean between extremes requires moral judgment, which not everyone possesses. Because virtue formation depends on upbringing and social environment, moral luck plays a significant role. And finally, cultural diversity raises questions about whether virtues are universal or culturally relative. In conclusion, virtue ethics reminds us that morality cannot be reduced to isolated decisions or external rules. The ethical life is a lifelong practice of cultivating character, balancing reason and emotion, and striving for human flourishing. Aristotle's framework provides a vision of moral excellence grounded in who we become rather than in what we achieve. Understanding virtue ethics prepares us to explore eudaimonia and the golden mean in our lessons ahead. Here are some reflection questions for you to consider. Remember that virtue ethics challenges us to focus on character and the lifelong process of moral growth, so consider how these ideas might apply to your own experiences, values, and choices. Reflecting on these questions helps connect Aristotle's theory to everyday life, moving from abstract principles to practical wisdom. So how does focusing on who we are differ from focusing on what we do? What virtues do you think are important in your own life? In what ways can moral habits be learned or practiced like a skill? What would Aristotle say about the balance between emotion and reason in moral decision-making? How might the pursuit of eudaimonia shape the way that you define success or happiness? All right, y'all, that's all for now. If you're interested in more videos about Aristotle, virtue ethics, or other topics related to philosophy and ethics, check out the videos posted on our channel. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.